Welcome back. Now this is not a part 13 but just a video showing how I made the lock-in system for the doors to keep them closed to prevent them from coming open whenever they want. Now just like Slick Rick once said, here we go. Once upon a time not long ago, when people wore pajamas and lived life slow, when laws were stern and justice stood, and people were behaving like they ought to good, there lived a little boy who was misled. Yeah. Okay, let's get straight to business. Let's get straight into it. So as you can see, the doors are not even closing, and they were working perfectly when I just did them. So obviously there was some distortion over time. So I'm gonna fix this with permanent magnets. Yeah, I picked these up online, but if you are in the United States or Canada, you could even get these at Home Depot, Michael's, and similar stores. I went ahead and measured the diameter and the thickness of the magnets to know what I'm working with. And as you can see, it's 5mm by 2.5mm. You could actually use a ruler or whatever works for you. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to measure sometimes, you could just use your judgment. But I like to use measurements to keep things precise and as proportionate as possible. Sometimes. I then went ahead and transferred the measurements onto the door jamb. After I make my markings, I'll then use my number 7 X-Acto blade to cut out the section, 5mm by 2.5. Well, I'm gonna make it 5mm by 3mm, and you'll see why eventually. If you're a first time viewer, second time viewer, welcome. I hope everything is okay. I hope everything's okay with you and with your family. I do hope you're doing well. My name is Toby, T-O-B-E. 29 years old, born and raised in Jamaica, but I've been here in New York for a long time. With all the crazy things going on around us, I hope you can find some peace and joy and contentment in life, and I wish you all the best. Basically what I'm doing right here is just shaving the plastic. You really don't want to be digging in too far too fast because you may injure yourself or you might mess up what you're doing. It really doesn't have to be perfect. Use your judgment, be artistic, be creative, and be technical. If you're ever doing anything like this, just be gentle, take your time, and trust the process. I remember growing up as a child in Jamaica, and I would be doing things like this, and my mother or my grandmother would say things like, "Mind you cut a finger off because I'm not going to sit down at no hospital with you tonight." But thankfully, nothing like that has ever happened to me. But let me tell you what did happen though. I don't think you're going to believe me, but let me tell you anyway. So this one time I cut a piece of my fingernail off, but instead of putting it into the garbage like I usually do, I accidentally dropped it into a puddle of water on the ground. But this was in the backyard, so it wasn't really a problem, or so I thought. The next day I woke up and I heard a lot of banging and crashing in the backyard. I looked through the window. Guess what I saw outside running around making a mess? Someone who looked just like me. Was I dreaming or something? No, I was wide awake. After calling my neighbors over, we realized that the piece of fingernail that had fallen into the puddle regenerated and turned into a crazy version of me. We spent the entire morning trying to capture him, but he got away. So if you ever see somebody out there who looks like me, acting crazy, doing dumb things, it ain't me. That was my last time using non-organic lawn fertilizer. But in all seriousness though, I do want to say, if you're an amputee, if you ever lost an arm, a leg, a finger, you are not any less of a person. You are still a beautiful human being. At least I hope your character is good, but you deserve to know that. According to the laws of mechanical engineering, in order for the magnet to fit, the hole has to be slightly bigger than the magnet itself. But trust me, all you need is a sharp blade and some common sense. And I don't know, maybe your favorite snacks. And see it there? All done. Fits perfectly. The holes are properly squared off, they're deep enough, and they're exactly how I wanted them to be. So it's now time to move to the next step, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to block the holes off to prevent the magnet from falling backwards or downwards into the hollow sections of the cab. And this is just a strip of 1mm styrene plastic that I had lying around. This is some MEK. You could use super glue if you have super glue. I have no idea why I'm shaking like this. Maybe I have a vacuum leak or something. Only the real car guys are gonna get that joke. And so far so good. And I'm just trying to get this far back enough so most of the magnet is still left hanging out. So now that the magnet stopper is in there, let's give the magnet a try and see what it looks like. Perfect. And now that we see that it fits, it's time to lock the magnet into place. And by the way, these strips that you're looking at are just pieces of a 1mm styrene sheet that I cut up into different thicknesses. Okay, so the magnet is gonna sit right down in there. And earlier I said that I was gonna make the cutout for the magnet 3mm deep instead of 2.5. Well, approximately 3mm deep. But that is because I didn't want the magnet to be seated flush with the edge of the door jamb. And also, this piece that I'm attaching right now, it is sitting a little lower than the door jamb itself. Like a 0.5 millimeter or millimeter approximately. And my reason for doing that is that I'm going to be attaching a piece of steel strip to the door, 0.5 millimeter thick, and it is going to sit right down into that 0.5 millimeter gap, and that's what's going to keep the door closed. You'll see all of that in just a minute. And the camera lost focus, but this is just super glue. You only need like a drop or two. When the magnet is fully seated, I then went back and I put some super glue around the edges to keep it locked in place and secure. I could have used baking soda and super glue for this, but I chose to use styrene dust because I've had a few bad experiences with baking soda on certain metals, and I honestly don't want to take any chances with this. I really don't think I have to tell you this, but this part of the video is sped up. You really don't want to be going that fast with a blade. You want to take your time and do what you gotta do. Well, not unless you're a chef, of course. But like I said earlier, you don't want to injure yourself or mess up your work. This is just a piece of 26 gauge stainless steel sheet, which is approximately 0.5 millimeters, or in other words, half a millimeter. I then went ahead and straightened out the edges with a set of pliers, because I'm trying to keep it as flat as possible. Perfect. Man, I gotta say, it's a great feeling when things work out just the way you planned them. It doesn't always happen that way, but when it does, it's a great feeling. So like I was saying from earlier, because the magnet is sitting like a half a millimeter or a millimeter away from the edge of the door jamb, when I close the door, the steel strip sits perfectly in that gap. And I do hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So now we know that it works, I can now fully lock the metal strip into place and make everything look finished. By the way, if you or anyone you know has an old car or truck and the doors are stubborn and they don't want to stay closed, show them this video. Look, you would be crazy if you thought that this technique only works for little tiny cars. You just gotta find a big enough piece of magnet and some real thick super glue. And that is just enough of my corny jokes for today. Okay, so there you have it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section. If you do not have a question and you just want to say something, then feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. And until next time, I'm Toby. And in the meantime, I'm going to spend some time chatting with my Jamaican granny. You dig?